Hi everyone, Aquarian Humanitarian here. If you're new to this channel, we have been putting out self-development videos related to mental health, consciousness, soul missions, and your purpose that would help you ascend to the new earth. The last 2 weeks, we have been discussing about the spiritual lessons that Sir Tato Malay learned from the extraterrestrials. We discussed 11 of them already. So today we will expand on the final three. So with that said, I want to welcome Sir Tato, the founder of the I Am Kamalayan movement. Kamalayan means consciousness. Hello, Sir Tato. How are you?
Hello there. How are you? Aquarian humanitarian. All right. Anyway,
Everything
so
good?
everything is okay. We're continuing our lessons that we have actually started a long time ago because those 15 lessons that we're supposed to end today, the last three, took more than a month na yata. Imagine, 15 lang yun. And we had extensively discussed many of
Yeah.
them. In other words, one lesson we would consume something like 30 minutes, and so half of the
Yes.
hour already is consumed. Anyway, so to
Yeah.
continue, today our last three,
Mm-hmm.
number 12 is you are an eternal being, and while you may change your form, you cannot cease to exist. I will
Mm-hmm.
repeat that. You are an eternal being, and while you may change your form, you cannot cease to exist.
Yep.
What do you understand by that? We are eternal beings. We are not going to die.
Yep.
The only thing that death does to us, for us rather, is to transform us into something else. But before we
Mm-hmm.
really discuss all these things, we have to really now go back and explain again that everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
We are all energy, and energy cannot be created from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and it cannot be destroyed to nothing. You cannot eliminate it. So energy is just there. So what happens to that energy, which is us as well? We just transform whatever that energy is.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have that in our mind always, that we are just continuing to change in terms of what we are when, for example, we have that kind of end in this present lifetime that we're in. And so we continue somewhere else, but we don't cease to exist. We are still going to exist somewhere. Remember, we are spiritual beings. So, as a spiritual beings, we continue our life as spiritual beings with our consciousness, everything in terms of our memory. It's all actually recorded, as in, I don't know if you're familiar with what we call the Akashic records.
Mm-hmm.
So every experience that we have, everything that we have learned, everything that we have done are all recorded in terms of the Akashic records that we know. And so, because of that, we continually are able to access anything that we want to become in terms of who we are. Because if we realize that we are not exactly able to not exist, that means we're always existing somewhere. And since, as I've said, there's no past and no future, everything is in the present. All our experiences, all our past lives, if you call it a past life, a past experience, are all still happening now, continuing to to have a life of its own. And all we have to do is just select which one to to be part of or to experience at the moment. So it's all there. That's why people, when they say, I want to regress to a past life, you can do that because basically it's all presently available for us
Mhm.
and our future as well. Nothing is actually, as I've said, there's no time. So there's no real future, but there is a future self. Well, the future in terms of what we had become is already there. Many of the things that had happened to us and we want to actually change in the future to create something better, if you want to see it as something better, you already have created it. We have already created it in the future, in the future tense. Okay, siguro
Mhm.
mas ano na yung future tense. So that at least
It can
people
get
will know that.
confusing.
So in other words, if you want to see your successful self doing something great in the future that has not happened in this present life, you can go to that to the future self of yours and talk to to your future self. So that's what you call as what you have been teaching. You quantum jumping, quantum leap. So it's all available for us to us. That kind of, I would say, power is really with us right now. We can choose. We don't have to die to actually select which particular lifetime you would want to experience now and create whatever new things that we would want to create as well. That's why everything is, the universe as a whole is practically inside us. We have to understand that as well so that we are able to understand this particular lesson. You are an eternal being, and while you may change your form, you cannot cease to exist. So it would be boring just to have one kind of life. Imagine all you've been doing for the past million years, you're the same. I mean, where is the excitement there? Where's the change? So that's the reason why we were reduced in terms of our existence in this earth lifetime, so that we don't really live a long life that could get boring. So maybe the maximum now is, I don't know if you can still live up to 900 years. In the Bible, there were there were recorded uh, incidents when people lived up to 900 or 1,000 plus years, and so it was reduced to something like 300, and now I think the most is 150. But we can still get to 200 years or 300 years. Well, as I've said, that particular period of life that we actually limit ourselves with, it's not really important because at this point in time, we are limitless. We are multidimensional. We are multidimensional beings, multidimensional. So we can really go where we want to go at this point in time, where we want to be, if you are aware. That's why we're teaching all this at this point in time so that we can actually avail of all these things that are in us already. And the problem with us is we only think of this particular lifetime that we're now physically um, endowed with because we have a physical body. But again, we are spiritual beings. That's why you can get out of your physical body and still continue your life or your existence elsewhere. So that's not a real problem. And
Mhm.
that's not impossible. It's really possible. I mean, ascended masters had always been doing that. They were always being, they were seen at two places at one time, and people were just amazed as to why it was happening during that time. And still now we can do it. I mean, we can teleport, we can become um, somebody in another place at another lifetime, and still be in our present place at this point in time. So if you are aware of the book, the I mean, the mystic Yogananda, uh, I forgot the title. Uh, the mystic life of uh, Yogananda, um, the ascended master. So he was already talking about this in terms of what he had experienced and what was taught to him by his mentor. So all these things are not really new anymore. That's why can't we actually accept the fact that we are really spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. So until you change your form, you will know. That's when you will actually realize when you say you die and then you see yourself, I thought I died. Why am I still alive? And so now you will realize that what we had discussed here is true. So I think you can add more to that. I think I've said enough
Okay.
of how to explain this number 12 lesson.
Okay. So just to reiterate what you had already mentioned, a lot of people are afraid of death. That's one of the things that majority of the people are afraid of. So now we're telling you you shouldn't be afraid of death because this is just one part of your experience. After this, you're gonna move to another life or however you
Yep.
plan to exist. So like what Sir Tato said, energy cannot be created, it can only be transformed. So you will be transformed. Um, so again, it depends on what your soul plan is. You could be, um, well, I don't want to say you can reincarnate to Earth because I mean, there's a lot of things that are actually happening right now. And I think this is our last incarnation on Earth. If I understand that correctly, because we're collapsing the many different thousands and thousands of timelines that are happening, right? To three main timelines, which is the positive timeline, the neutral timeline, and then the negative timeline that would take us to 1,000 years of peace. That's the golden age, and that's happening right now. That's why we're preparing you to that ascension. And the other thing that I had put down here while you were talking is that I want to remind everybody that there are many versions of you, 1788, 1788 personalities. So you may have deja vu sometimes. You may be slipping in and out of different timelines. And, there's many versions of you out there that are having different experiences. So, for example, um, there could be definitely there's a version of you that's already living the best life. And if that's something that you wanted to experience, you can tap into that. You can do that.
Yep.
So I teach that in my master class, the teleport to the best version of you. So I in that class I actually teach the ancient teachings and then the modern teaching, which is the quantum jumping, quantum leaping. That's all in the master class. And then If you're not familiar with walk-in consciousness, I made a video of that this week, walk-in consciousness, and just so you have a deeper understanding of how the soul works. And also, there's a movie called Soul by Disney, and another one, Down to Earth. Um, you may want to take a look at that because they categorize that as fantasy, but it's really not fantasy. They're teaching you the truth in that movie. All right. I probably, if I
Uh,
remember, I'll leave the link to when I explain walk-in consciousness. All right, Sir Tato, you wanna
all
move
right.
forward with
Okay.
13?
All right. Number 13 is everything you experience is another aspect of yourself. Everything that that you experience is another aspect of yourself. Other people are just mirrors of you. If you don't understand that, well, we're going to explain more of that. What you see outside is exactly just a creation of what you have seen inside you. What is inside you is the reality, and outside is just a reflection. So everything happens inside us. So that's how we actually live in our world. Our world is really inside us, and what we see in our outside world is just a mirror, a reflection. So we have created it according to what we actually experience in the inside of us. So if that's the case, every person, everything, every animal, every tree, every plant that you get to see is just a reflection of you, another aspect of you, because we are all one with everything. We are not separated from anything for that matter. We are connected. We have to understand that as well. Because if you cannot really accept that, I mean, you will not be happy in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is connected with us. That's why you cannot say, I don't like him, so I don't want to see him anymore. But the problem there is, why don't you like him? There must be something in you that you don't like in yourself. That's why you are seeing a mirror of you outside. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
as I've said, the other person is just a reflection of who you are, another aspect of you. So why can you change the other person? No. The only thing that you can change is yourself. If you had experienced something that is not nice, there is nothing to do outside. It's actually an inside job that you need to have to. I mean, that you need to be aware of, because all the fixing can only be done inside us. It cannot be done
Mm-hmm.
outside, because, as I've said, it's just something that had been reflected to show you exactly what's going on in our inside world. So everything is already with us, in us. And if you want to create a real wonderful world, you create it first inside you. You imagine a nice world, a wonderful world, an exciting world that you want to live in. And that is exactly what you're going to experience outside. The thing here is, every time we wake up in the morning and we get to see the same thing again and again, and then you complain and you say, wow, why am I here in this rotten world? Now, where did that word rotten come from? It did not come from the outside. You created it. How
Mm-hmm.
did you create it? You created it from the inside. So many things may be rotten inside you. So you are just projecting it again. So we have to really change many things in us, subconsciously more so, because many of the things in our subconscious we don't know. And somehow they show themselves outside and we don't recognize it. And that's the real essence of it. That's why when you see something that you really hate and then you deny it, that means maybe you are not aware of it. Subconsciously, it is there. That's why you need to pay attention to it. That's the real essence of this lesson. Everything you experience is an aspect of yourself. So this is something that we need to understand to be able to gain to use our power effectively because we have that divine power in us and everything is already with us abundance, happiness, joy, love, harmony, security, peace, understanding. It's already in us. Why are we experiencing the opposite outside of us? Because there are a lot of conflicting things that we entertain inside us. The moment we get to realize these things, that's the time we are able to now assess everything that we need to change inside us. That's why it takes to know who we really are. Because the moment we really know who we are, what we are, everything, what in terms of what makes us tick or what makes us, who we are, that's the real way of living our life to the fullest. Okay, maybe you can add something to that
Okay.
because, yeah,
Okay. So, just like you mentioned earlier, um, again, I'm going to put an emphasis to this. Everything is created in the unseen world before it can manifest in your physical reality. So, if your physical reality is negative, then you just need to be aware of what you're creating internally. If you're negative, constantly complaining, blaming, gossiping, and worried and fearful, then that's what you're going to see in your physical reality. So, creation starts in the unseen world first through visualization, through meditation, and then it appears in the physical reality. So, that's the unseen and the seen world. And then there's the Hermetic principle. Again, I talk about this in my master class, Teleport to the Burst version of you, because it says that as above, so below, as within, so without, as the
yeah,
universe, so the soul. So I'm not going to go through it in here because that's a lot of information to go over, but I covered that in that master class. And then Sir Tato also mentioned the mirror effect. And when he was explaining that, it reminds me of one of the verse in Dhammapada. It's Buddha teachings.
mm,
I'll see if I can dig to that. I remember explaining that one in one of my posts. So I'm gonna try and find that, and I'll leave the link when I post this video. And then another point is, you know, the thing that we really have to do is be mindful and practice awareness, because when we are aware of what we're thinking, like currently, because a lot of times we're either thinking about what happened before, right, and when we're thinking about the future. So when we think about the past, we're usually, it's usually not good. I mean, it's usually like full of regrets, right? So you multiply that, that compounds. And then when you think about the future because of the unknown, you get worried because you don't know what's going to happen. And again, that vibrational frequency compounds. So that's what you're projecting in your physical reality. So just, we're doing this podcast because we want to raise awareness. And these are the things that, I didn't learn from church or school. And that's why we're sharing it here, because it's concepts that helped us. Okay, that's it for my point
Well,
number
well,
13
I'd like
comment.
to add. I'd like to add more to that now because okay, I've seen the movie Disclosure Day twice. I mean, the when I saw it for the second time, I still really felt the same things about it because a lot of lessons have to be really be they have to be understood by people right now that were actually taught in that movie. And so when I saw it for the second time, I felt really the importance of explaining how the very essence or maybe the theme of Disclosure Day exactly was it was about empathy. When you say the word empathy, what does it really mean to you? When you say you empathize with somebody, you feel for that person. And because that person is also you, we're all connected. And that was the very essence of the movie Disclosure Day, to learn how to empathize because that's what we're lacking right now. We,
Yeah.
we feel we're all separated. And
Mm-hmm.
now, when you are able now to see everyone that you actually get to like and not also that you don't like, I mean, and also those who you don't like, that means there's something in you that you need to really be aware of because we're all connected. And the only thing that will uh, encompass everything that we're experiencing is love, unconditional love. And so we have to really love ourselves first before we can actually love some other people out there. Because the love is really the one that makes our world the way it is. There's nothing in this world except love. And that was the main theme of the movie. Love, I mean, empathy. That's why imagine I saw it twice and I cried twice watching the same movie. I think, my God, this is not anymore something that I actually can just shrug off or whatever. I thought, sabi ko, second time ko na anuhin to. I'll be watching it, so I know already the story. But still, when I saw it, I cried. Sabi ko, my God. And not because of this of the I would say uh, the, the 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 situations there na ano I mean medyo what do you call this not what do you call that, I forgot the word, but I actually cried because practically everything that Spielberg was trying to explain there in that movie, people did not actually get it. That's why when people said it was a corny movie, it was not something that they expected, they were wrong because practically when I saw it again, my God, I know. I mean, I realized this was not exactly an ET movie because remember, extraterrestrials, we already know that they are here. And that was not the point of that disclosure day to make it I mean, to make people be aware that already the extraterrestrials are present in us or outside us in other planets. But that was not the real, I would say, story that Spielberg wanted to show there. What he showed was, all right, we know already that we're here. That's why doon ko na realize these things that I've been doing, the lessons that I learned from the extraterrestrials, exactly the same lessons that he showed there. My God, what are we doing with the lessons that we already have at hand right now? Because we already have that lessons during the ancient times. Our ancestors already practiced all these things. In the Bible, it's already written there. In the Old Testament, I mean, in the Mesopotamian texts, Akkadian texts, and the Babylonian texts, they were all written there already, and they came from extraterrestrials during that time because basically that was what was taught to us, and that was exactly what we have missed in this world that we're living in. The lessons that we learned from them. They had been teaching us, giving us the lessons, but the church religion changed everything. That's why we have this chaos at this point in time. And so when you realize now that yun na nga, like yun na nga, the the lesson that we are now discussing. What did I say? Everything you experience is another aspect of yourself. Empathy, love. I mean, this is not anymore something that we can ignore because this is what we are lacking at this point in time. We're
Mm-hmm.
quarreling, uh, killing each other, hurting each other. We have wars, this violence, which is not really us because we are really lovable beings in a way. That's why we have to evolve to that higher consciousness again to be able to get to that point where we are now able to really be acceptable to other aliens out there. Because sabi nga nila, we cannot actually just show ourselves there because you're still violent in terms of who you are. The
Mm-hmm.
moment you are now able to transform yourselves, that's the time we are going to really visit your place and show ourselves to you. That's the real way of looking at this disclosure day. That's why people really misunderstood Spielberg when he presented it that way because there was nothing to show anymore. People know already that there are extraterrestrials. So what is there to explain or to show differently? There's nothing different anymore except that they had been giving us lessons and we are not able to practice the lessons that they've given us. And the church practically changed all the lessons that they actually saw in those texts that were gathered already by our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, talaga sayang. So now, continue, number
Oh,
14.
before you continue number 14, I want to add something real quick because while you were talking, something downloaded that I must share. So just we are actually primitive right now. We
Yeah,
are very
primitive,
primitive right now. And so our ancestors are more advanced, way more
advanced.
advanced than us right now. So
Exact,
I'm sure you hear me say New Earth all the time. You hear other people talk about the New Earth, 5D New Earth, Ascension. Actually, we're not going to the New Earth. We're actually restoring the Earth. Okay.
to
So,
its
but we will
original
have
form.
we're restoring Earth in its original form. Um, but it's kind of hard to comprehend that for some people. That's why it's just easier to say, "Hey, we're building the new Earth." No, we're restoring Earth
Exactly.
because we are we're very advanced. Our ancestors
You're very
are
advanced.
very advanced, and so the when the full disclosure happens, we're gonna get back all those technologies that was hidden from us. So people ridicule me, people make fun of me whenever I post the med beds and the different types of beds. I think there's like 6 or 7 of them, and one of them is my favorite. Actually, two of them is my favorite: the DNA activation and the restoration. So we can go back. I believe as far as 25 to 30 years younger in one of those devices. So they're not new. It's been here. It's just hidden from us, and it's being used by the globalists. And so, one other point I want to say, and I think I meant to post about this yesterday. I think if I have time today, I will talk about type one civilization. That's where we're heading. So just like what Sir Tato was mentioning earlier, right? We're not the
Right.
ETs are not coming down here because we're primitive. We still at
Primitive.
war, and
Mm.
we need
They're
to,
violent.
yeah, I mean, but there's something going on behind the scene that not a lot of people know yet, but it will be disclosed very, very soon, hopefully, you know, this month. But it will help us understand the true nature of our reality, our true history, so that we can move forward. So a lot of the things that we see on TV, especially in the US, I don't know how it is in the Philippines, but in the US, we're basically seeing a movie because everything
Yeah.
has been done and handled. We're just trying to wake as many people up. All right. That's why some of these things that they show you are so ridiculous. It's like this can't be real. That's because they're trying to wake you up. The Earth Alliance, the good ETs, the benevolent ETs are trying to wake everyone up. So I'm excited. All right,
Okay.
let's move
All
on
right.
to
So let's
point
go to the
14.
last one.
Yes.
Last one is you are loved so unconditionally. Again, I'll repeat. You are loved so unconditionally by creation that you can even choose to believe that you are not loved. That's exactly what happened to the
Wow.
monad. You are
Yeah.
loved so unconditionally by creation that you can even choose to believe that you are not loved. That's exactly what happened to the monad in the Gnostic gospel. I mean, when the demiurge actually uh, created its own identity, it chose to not love the source and
You mean the
believe.
archons? You mean the archons?
I mean, the demiurge. I mean, the one, the real God that actually people think. Uh, yeah, the icons came from the demiurge. I mean,
The demiurge.
they're uh, demiurge. So, in other words, the kind of life that they chose was to go against what they had been in the past. They were one with God. They were one with the source, and then they got this free will, and they said, "Okay, I can now do whatever I want to do," and that's it. I mean, that's why they're called the fallen angels or fallen whatever, because they have actually separated themselves from the source. The moment you don't love anymore, you get separated. You chose to separate. But in this lesson that we are now learning, you are loved so unconditionally. The source, the monad, will not cease to love you, even if you had been going against itself. I mean, going against the source. It will not punish you. It will not condemn you. It will not hate you. It still continue to love. It's just like the parable of uh, the prodigal son. The rich father actually had two sons, and one son chose to go his way and to get his inheritance from his father and said he will live his life the way he wants to live. So he got out and then he practically lived a different life. He splurged all his money, spent it to whatever he wanted to do during that time, up to the point that he lost everything. And the moment he lost everything, he said, I think there's no other way or there's no other thing to do except to go back to my father. And so he swallowed his pride and went back. And what did the father do? When he was still halfway, uh, I mean, walking towards their house, he met him halfway. And not the father did not scold him, the father did not condemn him, the father did not hate him, but instead he called on his assistants or servants and said, "Bring out all the best robes that we can find there, because he has to be clothed in terms of what is new and what is clean, and give and prepare the best feast for him." So
Mhm.
it's still that's how Jesus described who God is, the source. That whatever we do, we still are
Mhm.
welcome to heaven, to the kingdom of God. We are not actually condemned forever in another place. Not like what the church had been teaching.
Yep.
Go to this hell. Exactly. That is exactly the least. Imagine all these lessons came from extraterrestrials. And so, what are we now seeing here? We're really looking at the same God that they are talking about. That's why they taught us already what they have, who they are, and what they have learned, and that's why they are advanced in terms of their their lives, because they're living all these lessons. That's why they're teaching it to us now. And somehow, ngayon, ako is, I picked it up and then sabi ko, sige, I think these are the best lessons I can teach instead of the ones that I have learned from school or in from society, not from even the religion, whatever. But religion actually is saying the same thing, but it was, you know, taught differently and we interpreted it in a different manner. So here are, imagine all these lessons, beautiful lessons came from extraterrestrials. And that's how I am able now to see really myself. That's why I call myself now a galactic preacher, because I am now teaching all these things that all these intergalactic beings actually taught us. Remember, really, during the ancient times, they were already teaching these lessons to us. That's why they were able to gather it and put it in those ancient texts. And that's where it's exactly where I gathered all of them as well. I was guided to study them.
Mhm.
And they told me, that's exactly what we're teaching you. Teach that. And so
Yeah.
now I'm teaching that. Okay, so I think, wow, do we still have time? Or see, I mean, three
Um,
lessons.
yes, yes. I just want to add something real quick. Um, since we have free will, we've decided whatever your current life is, that's what you chose.
Yeah,
Okay? You cannot blame anybody why your life is like that. So if you want to change your life, you have to do something. You can't, you cannot stay in that blame vibrational frequency because that's very low. And so if you
that's
want to
true.
change things, you have to take action because nobody's
Take
going to
action.
save you but you. You have to take action. So that's, I mean, we're empowering you with this knowledge so you can change your life because you have the ability to. If you can get yourself sick, okay, you can also get healed by you. Just remember
And with
that.
the and we don't have to do anything. I mean, religion taught us a different way of worshiping God. Here, God doesn't need. It doesn't want to be worshipped. It doesn't need to be worshipped because basically He's God. Why would He want to be praised? Why would He want to be served? He doesn't need all those things. He's God. He has everything. God has everything. So practically, we were taught really the wrong things. That's why we are now living a confused life that we are now
Chaotic.
experiencing. Chaotic.
Yes.
All right,
So,
that's it.
hang on one second. There's still some stuff I wrote down. So since we have free will, we decided we want to experience. We actually, this is an experiment. Okay, we all, each and every one of us, took part in this experiment to experience separation, whether you like it or not. Separation, division, and now,
Yep.
now that we've seen how dark we have been experiencing things, because we had we chose to do that. We chose to see the darkest of the dark, right now that's what we're seeing. And
Exactly.
so,
Okay.
hang on one second before I lose my train of thought here. um at the end of the day, the goal is to be united, and eventually that's what we're gonna see. Okay, that's part of the plan here. But if you're familiar with the Great Awakening map, it says right there at the very top, return to source. Return to source, return to source. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to leave the link. But that Great Awakening map shows the ETs, um, the oh my God, there's just so much in there. And it's best that you take a look at it and learn some of those things. But at the end of the day, we're coming out of darkness to light. Okay, so dark to light, from 3D to 5D and above. Um, and if you haven't seen my post about human origin, the different versions of human origin, I'm going to leave the link as well, and see how you resonate with it, because there's many versions of human origin. Like for me, I resonate with the time matrix, the 15 dimensional loop time matrix.
Yeah.
That's how I resonate with. And whether you want to believe it or not, um, you know, we are we are hybrids.
We are hybrids.
We are
Okay.
hybrids.
All right. Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah,
Are
you
you
can go.
finished?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. All I want to add is, remember, I I am during that time, earlier time, I was a Lemurian, and practically during the time of Atlantis, we were already advanced human beings, and because we chose to compromise ourselves with technology, we what we detonated everything that that actually diminished all beings at that time here on earth, and practically the civilization disappeared. Now we are not anymore going to allow that to happen because we are actually at the brink of doing the same thing again. We all have now the advanced technologies that the ETs practically taught us, and we're using it now for destruction instead of uh, free energy that we can use for our everyday use that would make our lives comfortable. Now, the thing here is we cannot allow anymore that this kind of technology again will be used to destroy us. That's why we are now um, doing what we're doing to explain to people that we really have to change our consciousness and evolve to a higher level and choose to be there and not stay on that third dimensional being or third dimension place that we are still, uh, I would say, stuck in terms of where we are now. So, with that, I'd like to say thank you for having this kind of a podcast again.
Very
All
good.
right.
You want to invite your
Oh yeah,
community
I will.
or
I
your
will. Well, it's a good thing that you reminded me because this Friday, July 3, we are going to have our Kamalayan Coffee session in Glorieta 3, uh, Seattle's best coffee. Um, that's at the ground floor. We will start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and of course, it will go up till early evening. So we expect you to be there. Seattle's best coffee, Glorieta 3, Makati City. So see you there on Friday. That's all.
all right. Sounds good. And you wanna say something about your book, Galactic Testament book?
Oh, okay. The Galactic Testament is going to be out already this July because practically miracles happen. And so, what is now going to really happen is we are going to be able to explain the lessons that we are talking about here more extensively in maybe all parts of our country because I intend to travel promote that book. I want to travel extensively nationwide to be able to explain exactly what the book is all about. Galactic Testament
All right.
lessons that were taught to us by extraterrestrials. Yep,
Very
that's
good.
all.
Exciting times indeed. All right. One last point. There's a lot of going, there's a lot of things happening with our sun. There's a recent solar storm. If you're not if you're not paying attention, I have been updating everyone every day. Um, Usually when there's storms like that, it takes a couple of days before we feel it here on Earth. But this last one that just happened a couple of hours ago, Kuya Tato, I'm warning you right now, okay? You might feel
Okay,
this.
yeah. That's why I'm trying. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm all ears. Oh no,
So so you're
not again.
so so you're not surprised, okay?
That's why I
Uh
was listening.
mhm.
Uh,
So
okay.
there when things like this, I'm just gonna say a few things about this in case people are not familiar with it. So when these things happen, when solar storms happens like that, and especially this one, we will feel this one because it's facing the earth, right? In the next 2 3 days we will feel it here. So what are some of the essential symptoms that some of the sensitive empaths are feeling? Fatigue. You get very sleepy, very tired for no reason. Your eyes just want to shut. You just want to close your eyes. That's how tired you are. If you're not, if you're not quite healthy, you might feel worse, unfortunately. That's why I keep telling everybody to stay healthy, eat well, make sure you ground yourself, make sure you meditate, you pray. Those are important things to prepare us for what's coming. What other symptoms? Ringing in the ears. When that happens to you, that means you're recalibrating to the new frequencies of the earth, right? So Earth's frequency is rising, and that's the reason why I kept telling everybody to stay in high vibe. because we want to keep up with the rising of Earth's frequency. And I don't want to scare people, but there's consequences, negative consequences if we don't adapt to
I
the
know what the
new frequencies.
consequences.
You want to share your consequences?
No more, no more. I don't want to remember
Okay.
that.
Yes. So just make sure that you hydrate yourself, and when you feel tired, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. Hopefully you're not working. Just get some rest. Couple of hours of rest will help. And just stay high vibe, stay grateful, stay positive, because everything that we do magnifies. It compounds times 10.
Times 10.
Sometimes times 1,000. So
Especially now, Jupiter is in Leo. So
you
everything is magnified.
there you
Everything
go.
is times 10, times 100.
Yes. Yes. So make sure that you
So
stay positive, you stay grateful. Um, as we explained earlier, you create your reality. So don't forget about what happened in the past. You can't change the past, right? You can't change the past anymore. And don't worry about the future, because when you worry about the unknown, that means you're not trusting source. You're not trusting God, right? Every night before you go to bed, give your burden to Him.
right.
Remember that. You feel lighter when you do, and just trust that everything will be well. I know it's so difficult sometimes. I mean, this week is actually has been difficult. I mean, the spiritual attacks, the energetic attacks has been very it's been prevalent. And sometimes, since I'm intuitive empath, I'm picking up some of the collective energy, so and it's very, very low right now. So sometimes I feel like I have these thoughts, and I thankfully I'm practicing awareness, because I'm like, this is not my thoughts. I'm picking up the collective thoughts, and it's, I it's it's an energy of fear. It's an energy of anger, because of what's going on, right? In the Philippines, what's going on in the Philippines? The corruption, stealing money from a lot of, you know,
I am not
to the Filipinos.
anymore aware of that. I
Yes,
have
you
already
chose not
ascended
to,
to a different world.
right? You
I
chose
live
not to
in a
think.
different world.
Yes, but we're the people that are
No,
going to
no,
see
I'm sorry. I
this.
am aware, but I'm not anymore living in that world.
Yes, yes. So don't,
I am aware of that.
um, yeah. So for the people that are watching this and is still not aware of how creation works, you have to be mindful of what you're creating every moment. That's why we cannot, try not to stay in um, thinking about the regrets of the past and worries of the future. It's not easy, I know. I mean, I've experienced that, but that's why I'm forever gonna be grateful that I learned the practice of Vipassana, because it really helps me to be grounded and aware and balanced. And it's not easy. And we are, we're light workers, we're star seeds, we're ground crews here, and we have a job to do for the collective. And so it's important that we take care of our energy, that we stay in high vibration so we can help the collective. But again, it's not easy with all the attacks. And I have in my to-do list to post about the attacks that you don't see. Okay, those are the energetic and psychic attacks, spiritual attacks. So if you're not familiar with that, I'll leave the link, or just follow the Aquarian Humanitarian. And the things that I post will help you, help everyone in this ascension. Because our goal, why we're doing this, is to help you, everyone else to ascend. Right, Sir Tato?
Yep. All right. That's okay. I mean, so that's it. That's it.
All right.
I mean,
With that said, thank you,
yep.
everyone. And Sir Tato, thank you again
Thank you
for
also.
today. And I'm glad that we covered and completed those spiritual lessons that you learned from the ETs. And oh, one last point. I forgot to ask here. So, what is your message to those who don't believe in past lives reincarnation?
Well, I cannot convince them enough. In other words, I cannot force them to believe what I believe in. But
Mm-hmm.
again, as I've said, we are planting seeds, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the only way to really be able to do it. And because if you force them, they might retaliate, and the more they will not, or the
Mm-hmm.
more they will not accept what you're trying to explain to them. So
Okay.
we're just planting the seeds, and somehow
Well
they'll
said.
realize later on.
Well
That's
said.
on. That's the only way.
Yep.
So we'll
Exactly.
continue planting the seeds. That's it.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing every week. We're
Mm.
providing new information that, mostly not taught in school or church. These are the things that we both learn. So we're sharing it to you guys and hopefully help you with your ascension.
Yep.
All right. Bye,
All
everyone.
right. See you. Bye.
See you next week.